This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
Are we going to beat this theme to death? Oh, absolutely. The live version.
Kids, I don't know what's wrong with these kids today. Kids, who can understand anything they say?
1971.
They are disobedient, disrespectful oafs. Noisy, crazy, sloppy, lazy, loafers. I'll roll the subject, kids. You can talk to your face.
Having to push it with some vocal tricks there, right,
but
Joey?
They still do just what they want to do.
This is an exercise in, I don't know.
Perfect in every way. What's the matter with kids?
That's pushing it.
So is this theme, but we're going to do it nevertheless here on Wretched Radio. Kids, do they have a duty to their parents? I'm talking about when they get older. This is a subject that is not spoken of often, but the Bible does not neglect it entirely. It does spend some time in 1 Timothy 5 talking about the duty of children to parents. It's a tricky relationship, moving from child to adult child, a dance that so often results in a lot of toes getting stepped on and some confusion. How does a child honor mother and father when they are living with their own spouse and children? See, there it was right there, the pronoun thing, when they are living with, when it really was meant to be a singular, but I would have had to pick he, but that would have been sexist, so we just don't have the correct pronoun.
I think that's common usage. Okay. Common accepted usage these days.
Okay. We are to honor father and mother. It doesn't mean that if mom calls up and says, you need to paint the house blue, that you have to paint the house blue. You honor her. You never mock. You never say negative things about her. You don't speak disrespectfully. But it doesn't mean that you have to do everything that you are told. You're an adult. You've got your own little covenant unit. But what about when your mom and dad need your help? 1 Timothy 5:4, Paul is giving instructions about widows. He makes the comment that the children or grandchildren of the Christian widows ought to, quote, show godliness to their own household and to make some return to their parents, for this is pleasing in the sight of God. Now, I can't speak on this because I'm not there yet. Tony, as you approach nursing home years, what do you think is behind the attitude that says, and I see this so regularly, an older person does not want to be cared for by their children. They don't want to be a burden to their kids.
Yep.
I get that, I think. I mean, I understand. You want them to live. You want them to go about their business and go through the seasons that can be so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also wondering if we aren't robbing our kids of a blessing that seems to be described biblically, that it is a blessing to return the kindness that was shown to you as a child. I wonder if we need to all rethink this just a bit. Again, I'm not an expert. Tony is closer to being an expert, but I'm not an expert on this subject, so maybe I'll change my tune on this business. I'm just trying to apply what 1 Timothy 5 says, that we are to show godliness to our own household and to make some return to their parents, for this is pleasing in the sight of God. God likes it when an older couple is taken care of by their own children. I know this is not Western. This is not very American, certainly American, with our independent attitudes. But I think the same thing is true in most English-speaking countries. Whoa. We've built places for them to be taken care of. And I'm not saying those places are automatically bad. Believe me, I'm not. I just wonder if there aren't times when we could be following a biblical model that is pleasing to God. I have to confess to you, I will hear these stories. Now, I didn't get this when I was younger, but I get it now, that people, they will have a basement, and they want to make sure that the basement has a refrigerator and a kitchen so that when mom and dad move in, that's, in some cultures, that's just normal. In our culture, it's kind of weird that mom and dad are living in the basement. I wonder how weird it is, and maybe it's more biblical that we are to show godliness to our own household, making some return, for this is pleasing in the sight of God. English Puritan William Gouge, 17th century, building a godly home, talked about the biblical duty of children to requite their parents. Quote, in everything which a parent needs his child's help, the child, according to his ability, must grant this best help. Beyond one's power, nothing can be expected. Now, if a couple of kids and the couple decide we want to do this arrangement with an assisted care facility, I don't think this Puritan would say, that's sinning. I certainly wouldn't. But I just wonder if we need to rethink the blessing that we might be missing out on. If it's pleasing in the sight of God for kids to take care of their elderly parents, shouldn't it be pleasing to us in some sense? From William Gouge, these and similar duties are particular branches of giving back and are all included under the command to requite your parents, which the apostle requires of children in 1 Timothy 5:4. They are but a small part of paying back all the labor, care, and responsibilities that parents have been at with their children. This thing only, that parents have brought forth children into the world, children can never sufficiently pay back. Just wondering what this might say to a world, especially in the West, where we hire professionals to take care of elderly parents. And I'm not saying that's wrong, please. But I wonder if, in so many cases, if we wouldn't do that because we don't need to do that, what sort of a testimony that might be to a watching world. Was reading this, let me see if I can find that. Was reading this morning. It was a letter from China. I'm going to leave the name out. I don't know why, but it seems wise to do so. It is from a reputable missionary organization that you're probably familiar with. Here it is right here. The Christians in Wuhan, China, which is where the coronavirus is breaking out and people are dying. The Christians are going out onto the streets dressed in yellow for their protection suits to preach the gospel, give out tracts, and free masks. And what's happening in that town? A police officer came to one sister, listened to the gospel, and left with the tract and mask happily. After a while, another police officer arrived, heard, and left with the tract and a mask too. Shortly, the first one came back saying another officer would like one too. Soon, 4 more officers came. They are the ones that used to be concerned about the message, but now they come to Christians for help. The yellow suit, the yellow has become the most beautiful color in the city. Christians gained the respect that they never had because of their willingness to risk their health to serve. And then there's a request that we pray for them. Does that not sound like early Christianity? When Christians, they became this distinct group of people known for what? Their kindness, their willingness to risk life and limb for other people, their willingness to sacrifice, their willingness to get sick, their willingness to get ostracized by society because they love people. And what happened to Christianity? In part because of this, it exploded. And I'm thinking in Wuhan, China, when you've got police now coming to the Christians, listening to the gospel, asking them for help instead of arresting them, what a testimony. And I wonder if in our culture, we are Marlboro people, if the world would see us taking care of our children, what might they think? How might that speak to them? Parents raising a large family may have to sacrifice some of their 401k money. But in the end, the more children they have, the more easily those children will be able to share any costs that might go into caring for elderly or sick parents. Well, there's a promo for having a larger family. It doesn't become a burden on a few. It becomes spread out over many. The family, by the way, this is an article from Reformed Hope, Chris Hume writing. I wonder if it's a relation to Brit. At any rate, the family is the central unit in society, not the state. The Social Security program ignores this reality and gives the civil government the duty of planning for retirement. Point: why is the government taking care of our elderly when we are charged in 1 Timothy 5:4 to show godliness to our own household and to make some return to their parents, for this is pleasing in the sight of God? Just wondering if maybe some adjustment needs to take place on both ends of the spectrum. Kids, that's written to them, but I wonder if more and more aging and elderly Christian adults need to be willing to accept that help, which is pleasing to God and therefore must in some sense be pleasing for them. Maybe, just maybe, we need to do some rethinking. And until tomorrow, go serve your King.
Behold a world without Wretched. Please become a gospel partner